Hello, hi, a very happy good evening. So this is Krishnaveni and we've been talking about the story of life on earth, and that's biology. So welcome to my session. So today it's the syllabus wrap up series. We are in the next unit talking about morphology and anatomy of plant. So we are first starting off with morphology of flowering plants. Hello guys, so thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. For all those who are watching my session for the first time, so we are here doing a syllabus wrap up series. So we are revising the entire NEET syllabus. So starting from the first unit of class 11. So we were recently done with the first unit of class 11. So now we have moved on to the second unit. So you will have a quiz shortly on the first unit. So prepare yourself. So suddenly you can have a quiz notification. So please be ready. Okay, so one day I should have a surprise quiz, right? Without revealing what is the syllabus, nothing. So directly I should have a quiz. Hi Anthony Abhi, yes, a very good evening. So thank you so much for joining my session today. So please do like, share and subscribe. So how many of you still feel morphology of flowering plants is tough? Yes. How many of you still feel, ma'am, how many times you teach morphology is still tough, you're not able to remember the examples? So how many of you feel so? Yes. So tomorrow at 4 p.m. we are talking about transparent plants. We will complete transparent plants so that from Thursday we can move on to the next chapter. Hello Naveen, yes, good evening. So thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. Yes, how many of you feel morphology of flowering plants is tough? Still tough? Yes, I can see, yes, even I was so happy that I can see your chat, yes. So I hope you understood human reproduction, Anthony Abhi, the last bit. Do you have any doubts? Okay, so shall we move on with morphology? So I have divided morphology into 3 lectures. We'll try to finish it as quickly as possible. But see, now I'm teaching morphology of flowering plants. So I'm going to talk about root, stem and leaf today. So in these 3 sessions, if you have any line in NCERT which you do not understand, so please put it up on the chat box so that I can explain it to you. It is not possible for me to decode the entire textbook, and that is not a topic. My topic is to comprehend the key points in NCERT. But if you are not understanding any particular point from NCERT, from this part, so today I am going to talk about root, stem and leaf. So in these 3 portions, if you do not understand any particular line, so please put it in the chat box. I will explain it right here. Okay? Yes? Morphology is easy. Okay? Fine. So shall we move forward with morphology? So let's quickly finish up. So I don't have a lot of things to talk, little things to talk. So directly we'll move into the point because we have already done morphology. So here I have black background. So where is Vishal? So Vishal was asking for black background. So here it is. So morphology and anatomy are 2 chapters which are twin chapters. So morphology talks about the external features and anatomy talks about the internal structure. So talking about morphology and anatomy, so both are huge chapters, but your morphology has high weightage. So your morphology has a weightage of around 5% and your anatomy has a weightage of 2%. Okay, so which means you should concentrate more on morphology because morphology has more of examples. So anatomy has less examples but more of theory. So just like I said, we will have a Menti quiz only talking about the examples of your animal kingdom. So we will have a very fun quiz in your morphology where only we will talk about the examples. So in that way you will get used to it. So I am telling a lot of Menti ideas. I will sort out when to have which Menti and then I will let you know. So when are we having the Menti? Okay, so most probably the Menti for the first unit, the syllabus wrap up series Menti for the first unit will happen on Saturday. So please be prepared. So we'll have a lot of questions because the winner is going to get a mock test series. So the level of questions will also be tough. So I will increase my time to 25 seconds per question. Okay, yes? Okay, so that is what I have planned. So in between also you might have some Menti, but give me some time to sort out all the Mentis. Okay, so yes, so we are concentrating now on morphology, especially the examples. So you will remember the examples. To remember the example, you will logically understand the concept behind them. So that is more important. So moving forward, so morphology of flowering plants. So this will be our lecture 1 for morphology of flowering plants. Okay, so shall we move forward? Okay, so just like you asked me, I have everything in black background. So what are the topics in this chapter? So we have the root, the stem, the leaf, the inflorescence, the flower, then we also have the fruit, then the seed, then semi-technical description of a flowering plant, description of some important families. So these are the topics that we were discussing in this chapter, if you remember. So the first three parts, that is the root, stem and the leaf, so they are the vegetative parts of the flower. Okay, and the flower is the reproductive part. Done. So this is what first I described in this chapter. So we'll talk about what is a root, what are the modifications of root, and what are the functions of root. So the case with stem and so the case with leaf. So we'll talk about these three parts today. So in the next class we'll complete everything about flower, and in the last part I will talk about the families. So this is how I have divided the chapter. So we will also solve some questions from this part. So today I have not got any questions, but after one lecture, in the next class, first I will solve questions and then move into the lecture. Okay? Yes? So NEET Ma'am will not be able to handle the syllabus wrap-up series. So once again, the entire syllabus wrap-up series I will be handling. Yes, Shimpi, a very happy good evening. Yes, I am good. Thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. So since we are also nearing the completion of our class 12 portion, I am planning to start the syllabus wrap-up series for class 12 as well. So I will let you know how things go by. I will let you know my schedule very soon. Okay, so this is how I have divided the syllabus wrap-up series of your morphology in flowering plants. So now first talking about the roots. So I directly go into the point, and I'm not talking about something unimportant, because this is not a normal lecture. So this is a wrap-up series. So I'm covering only the important points. Okay. So what are the types of root? So I guess all of you know what a root is. The root is one which develops from your radicle, right? So radicle is a small portion below your cotyledons. It is known as your epicotyle. So that embryonic axis gives rise to radicle, and radicle develops into your root. So I told you to remember. So radicle are, so remember root. Okay, so this is how you will remember. So the taproot develops from the radicle. So we have three types of roots: taproot, fibrous root and adventitious root. The first type is the taproot. So the taproot develops from your radicle. It is the primary root along with its branches. So that is your taproot. So examples of your taproot are seen in your mustard plant and in a lot of your dicots. Okay, so remember RD. So root, so radicle, root, dicot. Okay, RDT. So what is RDT? Recombinant DNA technology, right? According to biotechnology. So remember root, dicot, taproot. Okay, so that is how you will remember. It is up to you to frame any type of mnemonics you want. So this is the primary root along with its branches. So this is called as a taproot system. So taproot system is more common in your dicot plants. So this is the figure, and this is the original root depicting your taproot system. So the next type of root is your fibrous root. So fibrous root is seen in your monocots. So remember FM radio. So fibrous root, monocots. So taproot, that is your dicots. So it is TD and FM. Okay, so the primary roots in case of your monocots are pretty short-lived, and your primary roots are replaced by a large number or a bunch of roots. So these are known as fibrous roots. Okay, so these roots originate from the base of the stem. Okay, so you have the stem base, so there it arises. This is your fibrous root. So examples are all your monocot. So one example is your wheat. So this is how your fibrous root is. It is a bunch of root. So in taproot you had a main branch and a main a root coming down, and then you had branches. In case of fibrous root, you do not have any branches. It is just a cluster of roots. So why are you having fibrous root in monocot? Because the primary roots are short-lived and it is replaced by a cluster of root, and these roots arise from the base of the stem. So this is an important point. So once again the examples are important. So taproot, dicot plant, fibrous root, monocot plant. Okay. So moving forward to the third type of root is your adventitious root. So the roots arise from parts of the plant other than the radicle. Ma'am, even in your fibrous root, it is occurring through what? It is occurring from the base of the stem, so then that is also other than radicle, that is it is getting replaced. In case of this, so adventitious root is when it develops from parts other than the radicle. I agree. But here also you said fibrous root also, it arises from the base of the stem. But please note here it is getting replaced. Okay, it is not directly forming from the base of the stem. So here also you have primary roots, but your primary roots is getting replaced by the base of the stem. So this and adventitious root is not the same. Fine. So the last type of root is your adventitious root. So these roots arise from the parts of the plant other than the radicle. So examples are your grass and your banyan tree. So they are the examples of your adventitious root. So these are the three types of root that I want to talk to you about. Okay. So this is the first point you will remember in case of your roots. Clear? Yes. So shall I move forward? So shall we talk about the storage modification of your roots? Okay. So moving further, so before we go and talk about the storage modification of the root, so let's talk about the regions of the root. So we have 4 regions in the root. So how does it start? The first region of the root is your root cap. Okay, so it is at the tip and it protects the growing apex. So what is the function? It protects the growing apex of the root. Okay. So number 2, near to the root cap region, you have your meristematic region. So in your meristematic region, so what happens? You have actively dividing cells. Cells which are capable of active division. Okay. Amit, Aswati, ma'am, how much you scored in NEET? Okay, so you're asking me how much I scored in NEET, so I never gave NEET. So when I was there, it was AIPMT, it was not NEET. Okay. So that is meristematic region. So then the region of so then near to your meristematic region, you had your elongation region. So here your cells elongate. So these are very nearby. Okay. So root cap followed by your meristematic region followed by your elongation region. Okay. So this elongation region is responsible for elongating your root cells. So then moving to the fourth portion, so region of maturation. So here the cells have divided, it has elongated, now it will take up a function on its own, so that is the state of maturation. So these are the 4 regions of your root, and your region of maturation contains your root hairs. So root hair has high surface area which absorbs water more quickly, and your root hairs are unicellular cells. Okay. So this is what you should know from the 4 stages of the root. Okay. Okay, so Shimpi is giving me a compliment, so thank you. So now talking about the modification or the roots for storage. So we are talking about the modifications of root. So first modification is modification for storage. So how are the roots modified for storage? So this is the first one, how the roots are modified for storage. So the next part, they are used for respiration. Then you also have nodulated roots. Then you have adventitious roots. So these are the 4 modifications of your root. So what are the 4 modifications? Once again, so here we are talking about the modifications of your root. The first modification is your storage. So how the roots are modified for storage, and the next one is respiration. The third one is nodulated, that is the roots which help in nodulating, in fixing nitrogen to the roots. Nitrogen to the plant, and then the fourth one is adventitious. So these are the 4 modifications of your root. Okay, so talking about them one by one, the first one is the roots for storage. So how are the roots modified for storage? So the first one is your fusiform root. So what is fusiform? It is very thin at the top and bottom, and in the middle it is swollen. So that is called as fusiform. So the roots are thick in the middle, but it is very tapering on the ends. So example is your radish. So how does your radish look? So it starts like this, then it ends like this, right? So this is your radish. So this is your fusiform appearance. So conical, the one which is cone shaped directly, so this is tapering at the basal end. Only in the basal end it is tapering. So conical shape is your carrot. So remember C and C. Okay, so this is your conical form. So napiform, the roots are swollen, so spherical at the upper end, and it is tapered like a thread at the lower end. So the upper portion of the root itself is swollen, that is called as lapiform, just like in case of your beetroot, in case of your turnip. So it is like a tabletop, right? So you have a swollen portion on the top and a tapering thread at the bottom. So this is your napiform root. So inside that you have the storage food, but it is used as a modification where your roots can store food. Okay. So the last one is your tuberous root. No regular shape. It is swollen and fleshy at any portion of the root. It does not have any particular shape. It is just like an amoeba. So but it is like this, mostly like this. So sometimes it can be like this. So any shape it can take. So this is your tuberous root. So example is your mirabilis. I hope you remember this picture. Yes. So this is a very important picture. So questions come from this. So fusiform, radish. Okay. Conical, carrots. The third one, napiform, turnip. Then tuberous, mirabilis. Okay, so please remember the 4 types along with the examples. So these are the 4 examples that you already know. So we have eaten all of these, right? So please remember the same. So moving forward to the next modification, so that is your nodulated roots. So nodules formed on the branches of the roots by nitrogen fixing bacteria. So we will talk about the nitrogen fixing mechanism in the next chapter. So there I will explain you how the bacteria helps in fixing nitrogen. Okay, so the nodules formed on the branches of roots by nitrogen fixing bacteria. So basically those roots help in fixing nitrogen. So thus they are called as nodulated roots. So examples are plants of legumes which cannot fix nitrogen on its own. So example is your pea plant. Okay, so these round structures are your nodulated structures, are your nodules which are formed on the roots, right? So this is your nodulated root. Fine. So moving further, the next modification is your respiratory roots. So respiratory roots are also known as nematophores. So halophyte is one which grows in saline condition. So like in your mangroves where oxygen is very deficient. So mangroves very shallow, right? So you do not get enough oxygen there. So in that case, your roots help in the process of respiration. So the roots come out of the ground and they grow vertically. So the nematophores help the air to enter the plant. So that is your respiratory root. So example for your respiratory root is seen in a plant that is known as Rhizophora, and it is also and other mangrove plants are also examples of the same. So this is your respiratory roots. Okay, so can you see structures coming out like this? So they are your nematophores. So nematophores are common in case of your respiratory roots, in case of your mangrove or marshy area plants. So the next type of modification of your adventitious root. So the first modification is your slit roots. Okay, so your slit roots, or it is also known as brace roots. Maybe if it's not clear. So the roots arise from the lower node and enter the soil. So what is a node? So you have a plant, the place on the stem where your leaf arises, so that is called as your node. So the slit or the brace roots is where the roots arise from the lower nodes of the plant and it enters the soil. So from here it enters the soil. So example is your maize and sugarcane here. So the next one, the next type of root is your prop root, or it is also known as your pillar roots. Roots which arose from branches of plant and grow downwards towards the soil. So they act as supporting root. Example is your banyan. So in your banyan you have roots falling down, right? So where do they arise from? The branches of the plant. It is a huge banyan tree, and from the branches arises the roots and they grow downward. So they basically act as a pillar to bear the weight of the plant, right? So the third type is your foliar roots or your epiphylar roots. Foliar or epiphyllous both refer to your leaf. So the roots which arise from leaf are your foliar roots. So example is your bryophyllum. Okay. So the third one is your reproductive root. So your reproductive root talks about fleshy adventitious root from the vegetative reproduction. So vegetative reproduction is a type of asexual reproduction. So roots which can help in reproduction. Example is seen in case of your sweet potato. So can you see from the lower nodes the roots are arising? This is in case of your sugarcane, and this is your epiphyllous roots. From your leaf your roots arises. Can you see? So this is your epiphylar roots. So these are some of the modifications of the root. So we have spoken about 4 modifications of the root. So what are they? So the first one is storage modification. The second one is your nodulated. The third one is your respiratory. So respiratory is also known as nematophore. Example is your rhizospora. And the fourth one is your adventitious root. In adventitious root you have 4 types: slit roots, prop roots, foliar roots, reproductive roots. Okay, so please remember the examples for the same. Alright, so shall we move forward to the functions of the leaf? So what are the functions of the leaf? So from the given modifications, you should know what are the functions. So the first function, it helps in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil because of your root hair system. Right, so that is the first function. It provides proper anchorage to plant roots. Example is your pillar roots of your banyan tree. It supports the plant, right? The next one is storing reserve food material. So all the roots which have storage modification. So from the modification we should be able to deduce the function. It helps in the synthesis of plant growth regulators, that is your PGRs. We will talk about what are your PGRs, namely your auxin, your cytokinin, etc. So then photosynthesis and respiration. So respiration is in case of your nematophores. Then conduction of water is also done by a root because it has xylem and phloem. Then nitrogen fixation. So nitrogen fixation in case of your nodulated root. And finally roots also help in reproduction in case of your sweet potato. Okay, so these are the functions of the root. So hope I am clear with the root. Yes. So shall we move forward with the stem? So stem is pretty short, but the modification of stem is what is confusing. So which one you want to repeat? You want me to repeat the functions of the root? Yes. So the first function is absorption of water and minerals from the soil because it has root hairs. So root hairs have increased surface area that helps in absorbing water. So that is the reason it helps in the absorption of water and minerals from the soil. Okay. The next one is they provide proper anchorage to plant parts. So in your banyan tree you have roots, right, which arises from the plants and grow downwards. So that bears the weight of the banyan tree. So it supports the plant. Anchorage is support. Okay. So the example is your pillar roots, which is seen in your banyan tree. The next one, it stores reserve food material. So all your storage forms of root like your fusiform, your conical, your napiform, your tuberous. So all these store reserve food material. So that is the third point. Then synthesis of plant growth regulators. So plant growth regulators are also known as plant hormones. So plant hormones namely are auxins and cytokines. You also have gibberellic acid, abscisic acid, you also have ethylene. So they are your plant hormones. They are also secreted by your roots. So photosynthesis and respiration. So respiration, we saw it in case of your respiratory roots, which are also known as nematophores, which is seen in your rhizospora, which is a type of your marshy plant. Then conduction of water. So from transport in plant, we also know roots have xylem and phloem. So through xylem, it transports water. So that is also one function. Then fixation, it fixes nitrogen. So it is a type of nodulated root. Now did you understand the functions of the root, Shimpi? Yes, is it clear? Yes, shall I move forward? Any more doubts? Yes, any more doubts? Shimpi, clear? Okay, yes. So I am moving forward to the next part. So the next is the stem, modifications of stem. Directly we are going to talk about stem. So sometimes a stem is also modified to perform different functions. The first, you have three main modifications of the stem. So the first modification is the underground modification. So you have underground stem. So this is your underground modification. The next one is your subaerial modification. Aerial is on land. Okay, subaerial. So it grows on land as well as below the ground. So that is called as subaerial modification. So stem is usually one which is above the soil. Sometimes it also goes below the soil. So it has two types of modification, aerial and subaerial. So that is the next type. So the third one is a special type of modification. We'll talk about all the three. Okay. Yes, so talking about the underground modification. So underground modification of your stem, it acts as organs of perennation. So perennation is the one that can support the plant during its tough time. So that is called as perennation, to tide over the conditions unfavorable to them. So moving forward, the first type of modification is called as tuber. Okay, so tuber is the first type. It is a tip of underground branches. So the branches are present under the ground and it is swollen below the soil. So it is underground branches, so meaning it is below the soil and it is swollen. So axillary buds, they grow on the ice and they are covered by scaly leaves. Example is your potato. So in your potato, if you see, you have small spots and from the spots arises a new plant. It starts sprouting out, right? So that is called as the eye of the potato. Yes, whatever I am giving, that modification is more than enough. You do not have to go much in detail. Hello, hi Munna Dube, how are you? So after a very long time, you are here in my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. How are you doing? You're fine? Yes, thank you so much for joining my session today. Okay. So the next one is your rhizome. They are fleshy and horizontal stem. So these are swollen bunches of stem and this is fleshy and horizontal stem that is below the soil. So here you have small nodes and internodes present and they are also covered by scaly leaves, that is your ginger and turmeric. Okay. So this is tuber. So tuber is potato. So these are swollen branches. They grow below the soil and you have spots on the potato. So they are called as the eye. So from there it starts sprouting out and this sprouts out into a new plant. Okay. So next in ginger, it is a horizontal stem which grows below the soil. So this also has your scaly leaves and buds arising on the surface. So this is your ginger. So this is how it grows. So this is tuber and rhizome. So underground modification, the first one is tuber, remember potato. The next one is rhizome. This is ginger and turmeric. So people always have this doubt. So potato is a stem modification, whereas sweet potato is a root modification. Clear? Yes, I am good. Thank you so much, Munna Dube. Okay, so Shimpi is asking, why are you here? Okay, she is here to look at me. Yes? Yes? Okay, so Munna Dube, have you completed 10th? Yes, you are here to listen to 11th standard portion. Is that so? So moving forward to the next type of, okay, so this is your turmeric. Okay, so this is how the turmeric harvest is. So moving to the next type. So underground modification, further it is divided into comb. So we spoke about 2. So this is the third modification, comb. It is a condensed structure. So they grow vertically under the soil surface. They have a spherical node and an internode. So node is the place on the stem where your stem arises, and internode is a successive distance between 2 nodes. Okay. Yes, I know that, yes, I know you both are related, but I don't know who was the elder one. Okay, so Shimpi is the elder one, so Munna is the younger one. Oh, she's in class 8, alright, so very soon she's also going to become my student. Okay, so just 2 more years. Alright, so examples are colocasia and alocasia. Fine, so the next one is the bulb modification. So bulb modification is the stem is reduced and it has a disc-like structure like your onion. So your onion is a disc-like structure, right? So that is your bulb modification. They also have scaly leaf. An example is your onion and garlic. So this is your colocasia. So this is a condensed structure. They grow vertically under the soil. They have spherical nodes and internodes. Can you see? Yes. So this is your colocasia and alocasia. The next one, this is the original plant. So the last one is the bulb modification. So bulb modification is in case of your onion and your garlic. Okay. So they also have your roots. They also have scaly leaves. So these are the underground modifications. So we totally have 4 types of underground modifications. What are they? The first one is tuber. Example is potato. The next one was your rhizome. Example is your ginger and your turmeric. The third one, comb. Example is your colocasia and alocasia. The fourth one, bulb. Example is onion and garlic. So these are the examples. Okay. Yes. So moving forward. So the next type of modification is your subaerial modification. So they are involved in your vegetative propagation, vegetative reproduction, meaning so this subaerial modification of the stem helps in asexual reproduction. Underground modification of the stem acts as organ of pollination, whereas your subaerial modification helps in your vegetative reproduction. Okay. So first example of your subaerial modification is a runner. So runner is to run, so your stem runs, so that is the literal meaning. The stem grows and spreads on the surface of the soil. So can you see the stem grows, okay, so we are talking about the stem, and the stem is spreading on the surface of the earth. Okay, so this entire portion is the stem, so it is running on the surface. So it is an example of runner. So example is oxalis. So this is an oxalis plant where the stem runs on the surface. So it is a type of stem modification, and as the stem runs along, it gives rise to new plant. So it is a type of your asexual reproduction. It is giving rise to individual plants. So the next example is your stolon. So stolon is a central lateral branch. So slender is very thin, lateral is sideways. So this branch is on the side of the plant, right? So it is a lateral side branch that arises from the base of the main axis. Can you see? This is at the side and this is arising from the main axis, right? And after growing aerially for some time, aerially is above the soil, and then it goes back into the soil. So it goes aerially for some time and then arcs downward and it touches the ground. So example is your jasmine and your mint plant. So this is called as a stolon. Yes, bye Munna. So thank you so much for joining my lecture today. So I am really happy having you here. Okay. Okay, so thank you so much. So have you liked, have you subscribed my channel? It will be useful for you in future. Yes. Okay, so thank you so much, and that was very sweet of you. So first talking about runner. So when the stem runs on the surface, it is called as runner. An example is your oxalis plant. Okay. The next one is your stolon. So in stolon, what happens? You have a slender lateral branch. It arises from the base of the stem and it grows above the soil. So I call this aerial, and then it moves inside the soil. So this is called as a stolon. An example is your jasmine and your mint. So this is your subaerial modification. The first one is your runner. Example of runner is oxalis. Number 2, it is stolon. So this can be mint or jasmine. So this is SubAerial modification, and they help in reproductive, vegetative reproduction or sexual reproduction. Okay. So moving forward to the third type of SubAerial. Okay. Yes, you're right, Antonia B. The next one is your sucker. So let's have the example and study it with the example. So in your family all are NEET aspirants, alright, okay. So sucker is the third one. So the first one was a stolen, the next one, sorry, the first one was runner, then you have stolen, now it is sucker. So what does a sucker do? So lateral branch, it also originates from the basal portion, but it does not grow aerially, but it grows underground. So here also it is a lateral branch, it grows from the base of the stem, but it does not go above the soil, but it grows beneath the soil, right? And then it comes out. In stolen, it is the vice versa. It grows above the soil and comes inside the soil. So here it grows below the soil and then comes out of the soil at random position. Obliquely means randomly. Okay, so example is your pineapple, banana, chrysanthemum. So when it comes out randomly, it gives another plant. So this is how it is also help in vegetative reproduction. Fine. So then the last one is your offset. So they are also lateral branches. Lateral means side branches. They have short internodes and each node bearing a rosette of leaves. So can you see, this is a short node. You do not have a long node. So ideally a stem should be like this, long, and the node should be like this. But here they have a short node and they have a rosette of leaves. So rosette is a bunch of leaves and a tuft of root. So they have a bunch of leaves on top and a tuft of roots below. So example is your ecornia and pistachia. So ecornia is your water hyacinth. Yes, just opposite of your stolen is your sucker. So now the first type of modification of your stem was underground modification, right? So did you understand underground modification? So do I have a blank? Yes. So the first type of modification was your underground stem modification. So who are the examples? So we had 4 types of underground modification, right? So what are they? So the first one is your tuber. So tuber example is your potato. So next one you have your rhizome. So rhizome example is your ginger and your turmeric, right? And the third one is your corm. So example is your colocasia and alocasia. Fine? Yes, water hyacinth is known as terrors of Bengal, you're right. And the fourth one is your bulb modification. So bulb modification is seen in case of your onion and in case of your garlic. So this is the first type of stem modification. The second type of stem modification is your subaerial modification. So here also you have 4 types. The first type is your runner. So it runs along the surface. Example is your oxalis. Okay. Then it is your sucker. Sorry, it is your stolen. So example of your stolen is your jasmine and your mint. So then the third one is your sucker. So examples of sucker. So who are the examples of sucker? Your banana, your chrysanthemum, your pineapple, they are example. The last one is your offsets. So the examples of offsets is your ecornia and your pistachia. So these are the examples of the 2. Okay? Yes? Any doubts in the first 2 modifications of your stem? So shall I move forward? Yes, so this is a recap. So moving forward to the next modification. So this is a special modification. So the first type of special modification is your tendril. It develops from the axillary buds. and they are slender and they are spirally coiled. They help the plants to climb up. So one example is your gourds and your grapevine. So listen, tendrils can be leaf modification as well, stem modification as well. In case of your gourds and your grapevine, it is your stem modification. So tendril here is your stem modification. Okay, so in thorns, so sometimes thorns, the axillary buds of stems, they can be woody or straight, citrus or bougainvillea. So these are special modifications. One type of special modification is your tendril in case of your gourds and in your grapevine. So what is the function? It helps in climbing the height of the plant. So it climbs up, the plant spreads its growth, right? So the next one is thorns. So here it is a modified stem modification. It is in case of your citrus and your bougainvillea. So this thorn can be woody or it can be straight. So there are two ways possible here. The third one is your phylloclad. So you have two terms which normally confuse, phylloclad and phyllodes. So phylloclad is a stem modification where the green photosynthetic flattened or the rounded succulent stem of arid region of the plant. So arid region is in the dry season. So in a desert, if you have leaf, the leaf will lose water due to respiration. In a desert plant, the water availability itself is less. So if the plants can afford to lose water by transpiration, then it is a risky case, right? So in that case, the leaf itself, so there is no leaf, the stem itself is modified to perform the function of the leaf. So that is called as phyllodes. It is this modification of your stem where your stem becomes very green and it becomes photosynthetic. Yes ma'am, good evening. So thank you so much for joining my session. So please do like, share and subscribe. So the leaves are freely developed or modified into spines. So thorns are different, spines are different. So spines in case of obtunia and okay. So this is your phyllocladode. Yes, so where you do not have leaf, you have only stem modification. So this stem modification, it can be flattened structure or your stem can be modified into spines. Example is your obtunia or your cactus. So the third one is the fourth one is your creeper. So your creeper is, it creeps on the earth and the roots arise at the nodes. So they spread to form new inches in case of your strawberry and in case of your grasses. So here I have, okay, so I don't have the picture, I am sorry, I forgot to put the picture. Okay, so tendrils you will remember thorns, you will remember phyllodes, you will also remember creepers along with the examples. So with this we are done with the modifications of your stem. Is this clear? Yes. So have you seen how the grasses grow? The grasses spread quickly, right? So it is a modification of your creepers, then you have phyllodes, then you have your tendrils. Okay, so these are the different special modifications of your stem. Alright. So moving forward, the next one is your leaf base. So the leaf is attached to the stem by the leaf base. So now stem and root are clear, no doubt with stem and root? Yes, so shall we talk about the leaf? Any doubt with the stem and the root? Yes, let me know. Come on guys, so please do like, share and subscribe. Clear? Yes, the stem and the root is clear, no doubt. Anthony, Naveen, Shimpi, Naveen says clear, okay fine. So moving forward to the leaf, so we are talking about the structure of the leaf. So the leaf is attached to the stem by a leaf base. So on the node arises the leaf, but the leaf is attached to the stem by, so node is the place on the stem where the leaf arises. So the leaf and the stem are connected by your leaf base. So that is the first point, okay. So they bear two small leaf-like structures which are known as stipules. So moving further, so in monocots the leaf base expands into a sheath that is covering the stem partially or wholly. So that is known as, in monocots the leaf base is modified into your sheath. So this is a stem, so you have a leaf base, so then you have the leaf. Alright, so this leaf base is modified into a sheath in case of monocots, and in case of leguminous plants it is swollen. So the swollen portion of your leaf base is known as pulvinous. Okay, so this is your sheath. Okay, so you have your leaf. Okay, so this is your leaf, this is your stem. So it is connected by the leaf base. So here the leaf base is a sheath-like substance. So sheath is present in case of your monocots. So when the base of the leaf is swollen like this, it is known as pulvinous. So here you will remember how is the leaf base in case of monocots, how is it in case of dicots. Clear? Yes? So moving forward, the next structure is your petiole. So petiole is also known as mesopodium. It holds the leaf blade to light. So that is your petiole. So it is a long, thin, flexible which allows it to move in air. So that is your petiole. So this is your petiole. So this is the leaf base. So this is the petiole which holds the leaf blade and the leaf base. So this is the leaf blade, okay? And this is the leaf base. So the petiole is the one that connects these two. So it is the part of the leaf that holds it to the wind and it actually crosses the cooling surface of the leaf. So the next one is lamina. So lamina is called as epipodium. Fine. So the lamina is also known as the leaf blade. So the green expanded part of the leaf with vein and veinlets is your leaf blade. So here you also have a midrib. So what is the function of a vein? It provides rigidity. It acts as channels of transport of water and minerals. So because here is where your xylem and phloem are located. If you remember the structure of isobilateral and dorsiventral leaf, we spoke about that xylem and phloem are associated with the veins of the leaf. So that is why it acts as a channel of transport. The shape and size varies accordingly. So this is called as your leaf blade or your lamina. It has your veins and veinlets. It also has a midrib. So this outer layer is known as the margin of your leaf. Clear? Yes? So venation. So what is venation? The arrangement of veins and veinlets on the leaf is known as venation. So we have two types, reticulate venation, which is a form of retwork. So reticulate venation, you will remember doctor. Dicots have reticulate venation. The next type is parallel venation, when the veins run parallel to each other. So that is parallel venation. So this is monocots. Remember Prime Minister. Okay. So this is your parallel venation. So this is your reticulated venation. So this is a reticulate venation, a clearer image, and this is your parallel venation. Alright, yes. So with this I stop. The chapter is to be continued on Wednesday. So meanwhile, tomorrow we'll talk about transport in plants, and in the evening we'll discuss important questions from transport in plants. So I will try to finish off transport in plants tomorrow in 4 to 5 time, and then at 6:30 we will solve some more numericals on the same chapter, that is transport in plants. Okay? Clear? Yes? Okay, so thank you so much for joining my session today. So if you genuinely understood the way I taught you, so please do like, share and subscribe, and please extend your support as well. So thank you so much for joining my session on a late evening time. Yes, thank you so much, Shimpi Dubey. So have a nice time, have a great time ahead, a great evening. So stay safe once again. So this is me signing off. So meeting you tomorrow. So bye bye until then.